I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear, coming to you live from Florida on sore throats, so tired, and shedding shots. Hi, Tanya. Hi, everyone. Let me know that you're on so I can say hello. I like to talk about the current things that we're seeing with patients, the current things that people are going through, and give you guys holistic solutions to these problems. So if you're on, let me know you're on. Let me know you can hear me. Sore throats. Oh my gosh. So we've seen tons and tons and tons of sore throats. We've seen sniffles. So the S's can go on so you guys can see on my titles, I keep the same letter. So sniffles, snotty noses, congestion. Hi, Emily. Hi, Elu. Hi, Josh. Hi, Zandora. And so really tired people, lots of sore throats, coughing, fevers in the summertime, right? So what's happening with people in the summertime? That's another S, summertime, right? So typically what we see is people have fun in the summer, they get a lot of vitamin D, they're being active, they're having fun, it's 4th of July weekend, right? And then it moves into the fall, starts to get a little bit colder out. People start to eat tons of Halloween candy, and sugar suppresses the immune system. It rolls into the next month with Thanksgiving, which means people tend to eat lots of treats, pumpkin pie, apple pie. So you can let me know if you're a pumpkin pie person or an apple pie person. I am totally a pumpkin pie person, but I don't like the crust. I like the inside. Hi, Natasha. Hi, Alyssa. Hi, Lucy Lacey. Nice to have you join us. Hi, Emily. So I definitely pumpkin pie. So let me know, pumpkin pie or apple pie. Definitely pumpkin pie. Hi, Jen. Hi, Jessica. And they eat sweets in November, goes into the winter holidays, eats sweets for Christmas, Hanukkah, all that kind of stuff. New Year's Eve just continues on. And so Jen's not a pie person. Louisa likes pumpkin pie, likes the crust. Connie likes all the pies. Lucy Lacey likes pumpkin pie. Pumpkin's actually good for digestion. You can give your dog, I'm not a veterinarian, but if your dog has an upset tummy, sometimes a veterinarian will tell you to give them pumpkin. So there's so much sugar consumption suppresses the immune system. So typically in the fall and the winter, not because of the season, but because of people's bad habits, increased sugar consumption decreases the immune system, increased stress. So people overcommit to holiday parties and this party, and then they may overspend in the holidays. And for a lot of businesses, end of the year, so stress with that. And high stress also decreases the immune system. So to see symptoms in summer is kind of weird, right? So like, where is that coming from? Emily says, I only eat pie for Cool Whip. Emily, Cool Whip has antifreeze in it. Yuck. So why? Why are we seeing sore throats? Why are we seeing people with congestion? Why are we seeing people with fevers? Why are we seeing bronchitis? Why are we seeing some pneumonia cases in the summertime? That's super weird. And a lot of people are really, really tired, really tired. So there's causes to fatigue, right? So in the summertime, if someone tells me they're really tired, I'm thinking electrolytes, right? So, the heat index this weekend in Florida was like 110. So the actual temperature was like 90. The heat index was 110. My friends in Iowa told me it was like 115. My friends in Arizona said the heat index was like 120, which is like insane, right? Like super, super hot. So when the heat index is very high like that, or if you're in wherever you live and it's a bit hotter than normal, you definitely want to make sure you're getting enough fluids. Okay. And by fluids, I mean water. Basically, I need water. If you add sea salt to your water, you need good sodium for the sodium potassium channels in the cell, right? So you have in your cell, you have little channels, like little rivers, if you think of it like that. And one's for sodium, one's for potassium. And you need sodium. So some doctors say sodium is bad, but you actually need good sodium in the form of sea salt, because sea salt comes from the sea, it has minerals, and potassium for your cells to work properly. If you don't have enough salt, also known as hyponatremia, if you don't have enough potassium, you can have issues, right? You can faint, you can be exhausted. You can sometimes, if the electrolytes are really, really low, you can have muscle cramping in your calves, in your stomach, in your diaphragm, which would keep you from breathing properly. You can have bad headaches. You can feel really tired. You could be grumpy. In some cases, heat exhaustion or heat stroke, the person actually gets nauseous and they vomit or have diarrhea, right? So having, being dehydrated, not having enough good fluids and electrolytes can make you exhausted. So what I would recommend is, if you have a good sea salt at home and you have your dinner or whatever you're eating, put a little bit of sea salt on your plate, dimp, I don't know what a dimp is, dunk your food into the sea salt and taste. If it tastes really good and you feel better, it may be because you're low on salt. So that's something to check. You also can check potassium. So foods like spinach are high in potassium, bananas, potatoes, Swiss chard, high in potassium. Check that. So that's the easy thing. The other most obvious thing is lack of sleep. So Friday night, five planets aligned. What happens with five planets aligned? I don't know. I didn't study astronomy, right? So I do know that when there's a new moon or a full moon or planetary action, it seems like my patients have difficulties. My more energetic patients, or people that I know, like a lot of you guys here on the live with me, will tell me, hey, I couldn't sleep. Like, I was awake. Tonight is a new moon. So some of my patients will react more before new moon. Some of my patients will react during the new moon, and some patients will react after the moon. How do they act? Well, they might have trouble sleeping. They might be more irritable. They may, if they have any kind of parasites, they might be bloated. They might be nauseous. They might have increased appetite. They might vomit. They might have diarrhea. Those are all parasitic signs. What could you do? If you do have parasites and you are on a program with us, you could take more of your parasitic supplement. Talk to your practitioner and they can help you adjust it. If you have things like Para-3, you can take an extra dropper of Para-3 tonight. You can put the whole bottle near you, and just it being near you can calm down parasites if that's the case. The pineal gland, which is located right here in the forehead, the pineal gland does not like to have a lot of stimulation before bed. If you think about it, the typical American is on their phone, scrolling on their phone. I admit, I like to watch things on my phone at night. So they're scrolling on their phone. The light from the phone is hitting the pineal gland and telling the pineal gland that it's time to be awake. If you're on your computer, it's hitting the pineal gland. If you're watching TV, it's hitting the pineal gland. And so ideally, if you've ever been, here in Florida, if you ever had a hurricane and knocked out power, a lot of people say they sleep super, super good. Why? Because all electronics are shut down because there's no power. And then, of course, all the lights are shut down when the sun goes down. And so the pineal gland really likes that. And it usually results in really good sleep. If you have a lot of electromagnetic radiation in the room, such as a Wi-Fi router, computers, laptops, gaming equipment, any kind of electronics in your bedroom, TVs, you want to turn it off or get it out of there, because that also can affect sleep. So two obvious reasons: dehydration with less electrolytes and you need electrolytes, or not sleeping. So that can cause fatigue. It appears, so there's a lot of controversy on what I'm about to say. It appears that not only the popular shot right now, and I mean popular in a bad way, and the popular booster right now, and I mean popular in a bad way, seem to shed. So there's some doctors that say shots don't shed. They just get injected into the person and that's it. Well, I don't think that is true. So I've had cases where a child gets a vaccine, So say they were to get the chickenpox vaccine, right? The chickenpox vaccine can have a weakened virus in it. And if they hang out with other kids, then those other kids that have not had chickenpox can get chickenpox. And so I had a case probably 3 years ago. It was before all this pandemic stuff. And this kid came in and he had all these weird like blisters on his face. And he was just hanging out with a friend that had just gotten the chickenpox vaccine. They know these, so some doctors say they don't shed, but they know they shed because they tell you if you get certain vaccines that you should not hang out with people that haven't had chickenpox. And so it appears that these popular vaccines right now that have bad effects, like myocarditis, like inflammation of the heart, um, clotting in the brain, which can lead to stroke, clotting in the heart, which can lead to death, clotting in the lung, which can lead to a pulmonary embolism, and you can't breathe, clotting in an extremity, which would cause a blood clot and it can shut down that extremity. It appears that these popular shots also shed. And for some reason, people that were not given these popular shots because they chose not to participate in this experiment. I'm choosing my words carefully because I don't want to get bumped off all of these videos. That when they hang out with someone who recently got it, including myself. So I was at a seminar last October, and it was with a lot of people that traveled from a lot of different places in a very packed room with high amounts of like electronic magnetic radiation, right? So it was an amazing seminar, but they had a huge video wall, like the whole back end of this ballroom, and it was multiple ballrooms put together. I think it's one of the hotels in Orlando that has the biggest ballroom space. Was filled with video monitors, right? It was an amazing stage. But that in the conference, there were a lot of attendees that were on cell phones. So they were on Wi-Fi, they were on a wireless network on their phones, on their laptops, on their computers. They had hotspots where you can generate a hotspot with your cell phone. And so there's a lot of electromagnetic radiation in that room. And so my body really doesn't like electromagnetic radiation. And radiation does not strengthen the body, it weakens the body, right? So it weakens the body. And if you're around people that recently got the booster shot and they shed on you, you can get sick. And what was interesting is I did not feel good at all after this conference. And I had a weird rash on my chest and I had a weird rash on my back. And so I had one of my friends look at my back and she's like, it looks like you have shingles. And I'm like, shingles? Shingles, you think about shingles and it's usually an elderly problem, right? And what happens is, I had childhood chickenpox. So you guys can let me know, did you have chickenpox? I had chickenpox, right? My neighbor got chickenpox. And then my mom wanted my sister to get chickenpox. So she invited the neighbor kid over, like you guys had chickenpox parties, if you guys remember that. And so the neighbor came to play with my sister. My sister got chickenpox. I still didn't get chickenpox. And then my mom basically had my sister rub her chickenpox arm on me, and I got chickenpox. Well, the bad part of the chickenpox party or the chickenpox whatever is that I had a broken arm. So I had a broken arm with a cast with chickenpox, and talk about itchy. That was not fun. So Connie says she had chickenpox. Alyssa had chickenpox. Alice had chickenpox. Shanae says my son gets a rash every time he's around someone that got the new jab, and I start spotting. Oh my gosh, yeah. So definitely there's some kind of effect when someone gets this experiment in them, right? So I go to this conference, I come back, I have this weird rash on my chest, this weird rash on my back. One of my friends looks at it and she's like, hey, when my dad had shingles, it looks like shingles and it burns. And so I had never had shingles, but I've had patients with shingles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what I feel is what my patients describe when they have shingles. Like, but shingles is for the elderly. Like, why would I have shingles? I'm not in that age category. And then I just thought, well, maybe I was stressed from the seminar, and maybe it was the radiation, or maybe it was this, or maybe it was that. Long story short, I think we're going to see more and more cases of shingles. The problem is that it's going to look like little bubbles, right? Little bubbles with fluid-filled bubbles. Some people call them fluid-filled cysts. And a person my age or a person younger than me, they're, a college student, a high school kid, a middle school kid, an elementary school kid, if they get that and it appears to be shingles, they're going to call it something else. Maybe they'll call it a pox. Maybe they'll call it monkeypox. For some reason, they like to put animal names on stuff. You guys realize that? Like swine flu, bird flu. What else did they have? They name animal stuff. Chicken pox, right? Like that's interesting. So, so I think we're going to see more of these cases. So, back when this societal problem seemed to be respiratory, people would wear masks. Then the masks didn't work, and one of my friends in Los Angeles County told me that Los Angeles County has reinstituted their mask mandate in the summer, which to me is insane. And so, if you have a respiratory thing, people wearing masks are not going to, people with no symptoms wearing masks is not going to help anything other than to have them breathe their own bacteria and their filthy masks because no one was wearing masks properly, and it's just going to cause problems. Well, if more boosters come out, which they will, and the boosters seem to shed shingles, and then they're around people and the people get shingles, now they're going to have all these weird rashes, then they're going to diagnose it as something else, and we're going to have other shots. So I'm just letting you guys know that if you had family members that really didn't know what to do with the first shot, then you should start educating them now about the new shots, because there's like 100, I think the last time I checked, there's like 120 new vaccines that they're waiting to release. And so whether it's monkeypox or whatever they want to call it, they should know that any type of shot has a consequence. Any type of medication has a consequence. Any type of medication has a side effect, whether it's a prescription drug or over-the-counter drug. Same thing with shots. Shots are not filled with vitamin C and vitamin B. You could get a vitamin B shot. But these other types of shots either have chemicals, they have metals, they have antibiotics, they have aborted fetal tissue, they have animal parts. So someone posted, well, they're named after the animal parts that they put in there. It could be, right? So I just want to prepare you guys. What can you do? You can eat as healthy as you can. You can avoid sugar or eliminate sugar. You can do things to decrease stress. So stress decreases the immune system. Whatever you can do to prepare, you definitely want to make sure that you have some canned food and some food that lasts a long time, that you have generators. So Floridians, just like you prepare for a hurricane, or my northern friends that prepare for blizzards, you want to do that kind of preparation just in case supply lines become compromised. And so, say you don't need it, and you can still eat the food, right? You can still have food is food, right? If it's a food that lasts longer, you can still eat it into the future. And then there's different things you can do to boost your immune system. So naturally, your citrus fruits like grapefruit is high in vitamin C. Acerola cherry, those of you that live in Florida in southern states, you can grow the acerola cherry bush. And that's the highest concentrated vitamin C in a fruit. You can have different citrus trees. You can make sure you're eating healthy, reduce stress, reduce sugar, reduce or eliminate alcohol. So all those things will boost your immune system. And then I hate to say this part, but if grandma just got boosted up with something, you definitely would want to avoid grandma. So someone asked me earlier, how long would you stay away from grandma if grandma got a booster of something? Well, it depends. So is your immune system working well? Are we talking about an infant? Are we talking about a toddler? Are we talking about an elderly person, a different elderly person, right? So at least 2 weeks, but there are some experts that say the shedding never stops. Definitely if it's fresh, I would at least give it 2 weeks. But if I had a newborn baby, I probably wouldn't let grandma touch the newborn baby. And that's horrible, right? Because in the middle of all this stuff, there was vaccinated people that wouldn't let unvaccinated people come to their wedding, their funeral, their graduation, their bar mitzvah, their holiday celebration. It was separating families. And then as the holistic community started understanding what these shots did, they were also separating from family. I've heard horrible things where, doctors say, well, if you don't get the shot, then you can't let grandma come visit, or you can't do this. Recently, someone told me that in order for their family member to be in a nursing home, because they needed nursing home type care, that they wanted them to be vaccinated and would not accept them unless they were vaccinated. So it's crazy stuff, right? It is crazy stuff. How do you, so say you're a healthy adult and someone has just gotten the shot, how do you prevent yourself from getting shingles? Again, I would say, decrease sugar or eliminate sugar, decrease alcohol or eliminate alcohol. Try to do whatever you can to prepare for the future. So if you don't have a garden, put a garden in. If you don't know how to grow stuff, it's as simple as, it's kind of embarrassing to tell you, and my farmers that are on this feed will kind of laugh, but we had some good soil. So soil is very important. So had some good organic soil, put some coconut moss in there because it helps to retain water. And then we had some seed packs, and Leah's like, Mommy, I want to plant this. And she took the seed pack and kind of just sprinkled it. And I'm like, no, I want to separate the seeds and put them in there and put a little bit of dirt on. And she just kind of sprinkled them everywhere. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And we had arugula coming up. So we got some arugula going. She did the same thing with tomato seeds. We got some tomato plants coming up. I'm actually going to have to thin them out because they're all kind of squished together because she dumped the seeds. So it really isn't difficult to grow stuff. So I would encourage you, if you don't have a garden, start growing something, start growing anything. If you don't have a backyard, get pots, containers, and do some container gardening. If you are interested in tower gardens, so tower gardens have a water base, and you put minerals and water in the base, and then you put the plants in wool, like a certain type of wool, and they grows in the tower. Those are amazing. Those are super cool. When we had our towers up, we got tons of food off of that. If you're in a place where you can raise chickens, raise chickens. If you're in a place and you know how to raise other animals, right? So whatever you can do to be prepared, whatever you can do to be at cause, whatever you can do to put yourself and your family in a position where you feel like you can have as much preparation as possible. All right, so I'm going to answer some questions. So let's see here. Okay. So how do we protect ourselves from getting shingles from these people? So I answered that as far as improving your immune system, avoiding sugar, alcohol, and stress, and eating healthy, staying positive. Also, the 2 weeks before that, cold sores around the mouth. You can donate the extra food. Yeah, so I had this conversation with the patient today. I said, hey, I have this stuff. Some of this canned stuff that I bought expires in 2023. And I don't really like to eat canned peas, but I'd rather eat canned peas over not eating stuff. So that's a good point. What would you get? So some of you saw my post on Facebook from yesterday. We continue to buy little pieces of stuff, right? So you can buy the big bulk prepper food, which tends to be, like rice or lentils or dehydrated vegetables. You can get sardines. Sardines are very high in protein and nutrients. If it is very hot, they are high in good salts, depending on the kinds that you get. So that could work out well. And they tend to be the pullback cans, so you don't need a can opener. Lentil soup. So lentil soup in a can. I got some olives because olives are salty. They also have protein. What else did we get? You can get tuna. I looked at Spam. I haven't looked at a Spam label in a really long time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm really curious what is in Spam. So Spam is canned meat, right? And then I was horrified. It was like corn syrup and propylene glycol and stuff. And I'm like, man, I would rather get a million cans of sardines and tuna over spam in a can. I thought, well, maybe if some things are really bad, I should get some spam in a can, but I just couldn't. I couldn't buy it. I couldn't do it. Peanut butter. So if you can eat peanut butter or almond butter, nuts, seeds, we got some chia seeds. You can get some quinoa. So those are lots of very good foods with good nutrition. You can deep freeze things. Judy says you can always donate the extra food. So, if you have too much or you feel like it's going to be expired and you're not going to eat the canned peas, then you can donate it to the homeless. Okay, so Julie says, just coming in, what are prepping for with all the canned food shortage? So Julie, I try to leave this stuff for my husband, but since you asked, we're in Florida and there's hurricanes. There's no current storms right now, but if you're a Floridian, you should have preparation. Oh, flashlights, candles, batteries, ways to store water, ways to filter water. If you have animals, extra food for the animals as well. If you're on medication, extra medications. But then, some of the truckers are talking about that diesel may not be a lot of diesel oil left. One of our friends in Ohio was told that you could buy $75 worth of gas, but once it hits $75, you can't pump anymore. So if you're driving a big rig, an 18-wheeler, or if you're driving a larger truck, that might cause some problems. Now, can you drive to another gas station and continue filling up? I don't know, but it sounds like there may be some gas suppression. And then, so what's happening with all of that? So there are preppers that are prepping for that. I'm encouraging you, if you're Floridian, to prep for possible future hurricanes. There's none out there that I know of. But be prepared. Those of you that are in colder states, blizzards and stuff like that in the future. But if our supply chain completely goes down, and a lot of these factories have, chicken factories, processing plants, cereal processing plants, trains being derailed, less fuel, higher fuel costs, all that stuff, you may have some extra stuff around, just saying. Okay, so Lisa says, how do you get meningitis other than from the shot? Colleges are big on being vaccinated against meningitis. Yeah. So, in a lot of, I haven't studied them recently, but in a lot of the meningitis outbreaks from the past, it seemed to be correlated with certain vaccines. So very interesting. Meningitis. So on your brain, you have like folds in the brain called meninge. And meningitis is inflammation of those covering of the brain, basically the folds in the brain. So then why would the brain be inflamed? What would inflame a brain? So earlier today, I was talking about a Parkinson's case. So Parkinson's case, the person starts to get like a blank look on their face. They might kind of do like this weird tremor with their hand. They call it a pill rolling tremor. They kind of shuffle their feet. That can be linked to chemicals or metals in the brain. So what else can inflame the brain other than chemicals, metals, radiation, bugs, parasites? So I would want to know what is going on. So there's two types of meningitis. There's bacterial and there's viral. I would want to know what the heck happened and like what is going on in these areas for these cases to go up. There's always a cause. Christy's asking questions about the rash singles. What do you recommend putting on it to help it heal and feel better? An oil, ointment, cream? Just curious. Yeah. So interesting. Back in the day when kids got chicken pox, when I got chicken pox, your mom puts that pink lotion on it. If you guys remember what's that called, chamomile. No, not chamomile. Calamine lotion. Calamine, right? And calamine actually comes from a zinc derivative, and it's pink. Right? So calamine, and it is a pretty clean product, and zinc actually will suppress the symptoms of this virus, which is very interesting because chickenpox is a virus. So can calamine, lotion help with shingles? I've never seen it used like that. Could it possibly? I look for, so shingles travels in dermatomes or in nerves, right? So I look for what's irritating the nerve. Is it viral? Is it bacterial? Or is it parasitic? So things like para-3 Pair 3 could be applied topically. I wouldn't if the shingle sore is open, I would not put pair 3 on it because it'll sting really bad. Because it could be applied to that area. Certain essential oils can be applied to that area. But ideally, you don't get the shingles, right? You don't get shingles. You keep your immune system really high and you keep your stress levels really low. All right. The pump shut us off at $100 last night. Oh wow. So Christy's in Florida. That's interesting. Weird. So if you have generators, you might want to get some extra fuel for your generators. If you don't have a generator, it's a way to power your house with gas. There are some solar opportunities, and so not to freak anybody out, but if you don't have some extra stuff, you might want to get some extra food, some canned food, some sources of water, some storage for rain, stuff like that. Okay, so hopefully this has helped you figure out what to do for sore throats, why some people are feeling tired, and what to do with shedding. Whatever you can do to make positive effects of your life. So this weekend, it's 4th of July weekend. I wish you guys happy Independence Day. And 4th of July does not need to mean beers and fireworks. So some of you guys are like, boo, boo on you. It could mean instead of eating foods that suppress the immune system, it could mean like, hey, we get some really nice wild game, like we get some elk or we get some bison, or we eat some of the lamb, or we get some nice steaks or some nice seafood and make like a really, really awesome tasting grill session food. And then the money that you would have spent on alcohol, you can spend on healthy treats, or you could spend on prepping, or you can, everybody's like, boo, boo. Yeah, you can get some fireworks and blow some fireworks up, which some people think is fun. Some people think is not fun because some dogs freak out, some animals freak out. So anyways, my whole point is do whatever you can to be at cause. Do whatever you can to prepare for the future. Do whatever you can to boost your immune system. If someone recently gets jabbed up, you may want to keep some distance for a bit. And if you need our help, you are very, very welcome to call the office. You're very, very welcome to find us at Palmer Natural Health. You're very welcome to ask for us to help in any way. I'm Dr. Lisa Palmer, Dr. Mama Bear, wishing you a happy 4th. Bye.